HQ3, there's already some adjacency starting to build up for the teams.
Yeah, and here we are. So we're on Mars. We have Blues, PB Head, Silver Citadel, Blackmagic. I am Trat. Casting with me is Many Copies. And what do you think about this map?
Well, I think there could be an interesting found near the colony because there are low aluminum, low iron double tiles there, which means if you put a mine, you'll get both resources.
Yeah, they're what we call god tiles. They're very, very strong. And yeah, I like a found there.
But that would need to be for robot, because scavengers need to find. And as you see, all the players are coming down, but scavengers, they need carbon, and nomads and elites need silicon. PB Head is going to find himself in a bit of trouble early because electronics started double, and to add a little bit of insult, the colony just started consuming electronics, so it'll be very hard for him to get that upgrade. All the other factions, besides for nomads, start with 200 of glass or electronic, or not 200, 20 of glass or electronics, whatever their resource upgrade is. However, nomads start with nothing.
Yeah, luckily though, Silicon started double and Blackmagic had to buy it, so Silicon was worth a lot for him, and he is actually the first to HQ2 here. We have Silver Citadel as a robot in the corner. He has a high iron, he has some carbon, silicon, and water nearby. So maybe he can get some advantage by being in the corner. People might ignore him if he's lucky. He also has a geothermal vent there, which will do him nicely. And the last round is Blues, who goes for power robot. This is interesting.
It is, and power started high. And when you start with no debt, sometimes ignoring the primary building resources and just getting money where it is, and then just buying the resources you need to build with just works. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, usually you don't want to do this when steel starts at a double price, though. Steel is very expensive right now, so he might be waiting here for people to sell it down. That would have to be Blackmagic, though, because he's the only steel producer. So I think it's actually kind of awkward for Blues here.
Silver is also producing steel.
Oh, right.
But
yeah.
One thing you'll notice about Silver's build, he's putting in another steel mill now, but he had a steel mill, an iron mine, and another steel mill. Now, normally this would be a bad thing. You want your steel mills adjacent to each other. But robots, if a tile is producing an input resource for another tile, then it gives adjacency anyway. So that iron mine was boosting the steel mills.
Yeah. It's a nice one for robots who can get away with having fewer buildings committed and still be efficient. I like that his high iron, or one of his higher irons, he hasn't claimed it yet, is adjacent to the geo. So once he does get the geo, he will produce free iron because of the power adjacency. So it kind of has a nice, efficient setup there. I like that.
And if he eventually goes into the patent geothermal borehole, he won't need to have a geotherm there. He can put anything there, and everything on that tile and around that tile will produce power. That's very useful for a robot, which doesn't consume water, food, and oxygen like the other factions with humans do. They just consume power as their upkeep resource.
Indeed. And we can see a random food shortage, which really helps Blackmagic out. He's been producing food for a while. And seeing that PB Head and Blues are both going to farms too. It's a really solid moneymaker at this point.
And let's see, Blues is going to have a nice advantage there because one of his HQ1 tiles was a high water. So he's been collecting a lot of water since the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So he can take tiles and build more food while it's still profitable, even running out of water deficit without having to pay for that water. So as soon as he gets to HQ3, I would not be surprised to see more farms coming out from him.
Indeed. And he wanted to take advantage of that shortage, so he actually EMP'd both PB Heads and Blackmagic's farms and bought into the shortage. So he bought 60 food and waited for the shortage to end so he could sell it at a higher price. So he made, it cost him 2 black markets, but made him a decent chunk of money here.
And that early money sometimes really matters because you can invest that in growing yourself and just keep growing from there. And now the other players were not so happy with that, and a black market strike comes back onto the Blues there, onto his farm, some water.
Indeed. And we can see that the power price, even though Blues has been selling it all game, is actually steadily rising. Nobody else really wants to commit into it when it's not super high. And I think that really benefits Blues here. Although now there's an event that raises the price of everything except power.
So now all the prices are good. So whatever market you were in, congratulations.
Yeah. I think PV Head really likes this. He has 4 farms next to each other, making silly amounts of money.
And Blues is just eating up that power money. He's got 3 wind turbines, plus he's going into 2 solar panels. So he's just trying to make the profit that's there.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
The thing about money you make off goes to pay down your debt. If you have any debt, all that money has to go there. Once you're free of debt, you get that money directly. And so since Blues has no debt, all that money he is making off of power is going directly into his cash on hand.
Yeah, and he has been managed to grow that by investing in the fuel shortage that just happened. He's now invested in oxygen. Like, as a robot, he doesn't have to worry about his stockpiles diminishing because he does not consume it. So he's abusing the fact that nobody's in the reactors right now to let him grow his stockpile. And he actually has a lot of money right now. He might be looking for a majority buy at this point because he's well over the amount required to upgrade. But no, he takes the upgrade instead. He's now HQ4. Pretty on par with PB as a Nomad. I like Blue's position here.
Yes, it's robots upgrade faster, and he's taking advantage of that. Both robots and nomads are faster factions, nomads being the fastest. The only late game faction here is blackmagic as an elite.
Yeah, and I want to point out how much he's struggling. He has a pleasure dome, he's not making much, he's in D+1 debt. He's been shipping a lot with high fuel prices, he's been paying a lot of power, and he founded with that. And yeah, he's not looking great right now. He's very, very cheap.
No, he's not. The only thing that probably saved him from a majority buyout was that as an elite, he started with 2 extra shares of his stock, which provides good protection against a majority buyout.
Yeah. If I were him, I would feel the need to pay down my debt before the midnight debt tick, which is coming really quickly. I'm not sure he will manage.
However, it appears that he's investing in an optimization center, which is going to be a good optimization center since it's next to 2 machine shops, but he better hope that he can invest and make that back quickly, or else he'll suffer for it.
Yeah. He's also now making solar panels, but yeah, he will take a lot of debt. We can check here. It's 160k before and 212k afterwards. His stock price is dropping. It was 13 something, and it's dropping steadily now. He will have a really hard time to get out of this debt.
He's now in D+3 debt, which means that he could very much end up in a debt spiral where his stock price just keeps crashing and he just keeps going down and down. Also from the tools in the black market. And so that can be very dangerous for him.
Yeah. I want to point out that Blues is pretty sad now. He was hacking oxygen and he was in a position to make really good profit of it. He even used the black market to slow down PB's entry into the oxygen market. But AG actually hits his hacker ray with an EMP. This always hurts because it throws off your timings really, really hard.
Now AG is moving a bit into Blues, forcing him to defend himself. Blue should have no trouble with that.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see a majority buy this game. Blackmagic, realizing how much in debt he is, decides to buy up his stock before probably trying to pay it off.
Yeah.
Pay off. You might as well buy your stock when it's cheap.
Yeah, it was very cheap. I guess that's one of the good things. But now Yeah, to make it good again, he has to pay off at least 100k, preferably 150k. And he currently has 33k. So it will be a struggle for him, but he might be able to. We'll see. Meanwhile, nobody's actually at HQ 5, and Silver isn't even HQ 4. I don't like that he's buying stock at HQ 3. You should try to secure a solid income before you try to do something on the stock market.
Indeed. There are plenty of good markets on Planet, and the fact that he's stuck at HQ 3 means he's dealing with that many fewer tiles to work, meaning that his profit potential is far less. I know the expensive price of steel is certainly having an effect on that, and the expensive electronics as well is probably making it difficult to upgrade, but...
Indeed. We can see Blues change track from an oxygen hack to a glass hack. You notice that nobody is producing glass. Instead, blackmagic and PB had both decided to produce chems and also optimize chems. So once these optimizations kick in, there will be very nice tiles. Actually, they're already really nice. I might want to see more than 2 chem refineries from blackmagic. If you're optimizing something, have it affect more of your buildings than just 2. Still, nobody looks to challenge the coming glass hack. Nobody's moving into glass skins yet. So Blues will, I expect to gain 50k from this hack. We can check. He's won 50k before the hack at least. Can monitor that a bit.
Here comes the shortage. He's at 160 when it began. People are already bought a bit more up into it. And...
yeah, his money is rising so quickly. I wonder what his plan is though, because he hasn't upgraded either. Maybe he just sells this down after. Yeah, hack's still going. He's gained 50k so far. Hacks are really strong, guys.
Mm-hmm. Now, someone put a strike on Blues' wind turbines. Now, you'll notice that there are 2 goons on Blues' wind turbines, but strikes ignore goons. They're the only black market attack that will actually go through goons.
Yeah.
So they're not as powerful as shutting something down. They only do a 50% reduction, but they're guaranteed.
Indeed. Blues is going for another hack. Like, I'm focusing on this because I'm curious. Why does he need 270k in HQ4? I really wish he would upgrade here. I'm not sure what he's thinking. But yeah, I guess... oh wait, he's looking for a shift buy on blackmagic, of course. Alright, so once he gets 290k, he will be able to just buy blackmagic straight up. This will give him all the stock in blackmagic and 2 extra claims. I see what he's doing now.
Which is not bad, taking over an elite as a sub. And when that happens, blackmagic's deck gets wiped out.
Yeah.
And he'll just start over part of his cash on hand to Blues.
Indeed. Now, blackmagic only has 1 patent, it's not very strong, and a few optimizations. So we won't be like super scary, like a late game elite can be, but it will be a really solid sub. And there we go, Blues buys out blackmagic with his hacking money.
And the other thing it does is it raises Blue's stock price. So everyone trying to buy into him now has to spend even more money to try to take him on.
Yeah. It paints him as a target this game though. I think both PBhead and Silver Citadel will be looking to gang up on Blues now. And PB, I must say, is making really solid money on his tiles. He has 3 optimizations in chems. They're frozen right now, but it would make him 550 a second. And
that
the glass
is
skins are nice too.
Extremely good. That could easily be worth, you know, what a off-world might be at this stage in the game when off-worlds are only mediocre. So those tiles are very strong.
Agreed.
PB is still struggling a bit in debt. He was down in D debt. He paid himself up to B. He's back in C. So he doesn't have his debt under control, but and he's now back in D again. So there's somewhere he is bleeding debt that he'll need to plug or at least keep himself in C so he doesn't enter a death spiral like blackmagic did.
Yeah. I think power has been an issue. Power has been expensive all game, really benefiting Blues. Blues is currently on 5 wind turbines. And he's made power money all throughout the game. We see Silver Citadel getting superconductor, which I think is part of the reason why the price is finally dropping. He also has 2 solar panels and a geothermal plant with that superconductor. So finally, the Blues money the power money from Blues will start drying up. But his sub is already really solid, giving him nice income, and he is now HQ5 too. This is looking really good.
Now, Silver scrapped out of his patent lab and is moving into a hacker array. I maybe would have liked him to pick up nanotechnology before he scrapped out, considering the high price of steel and the price of electronics. That could have been a very useful patent and would allow him to make rotations a lot easier.
I agree. And actually, right now on the entire map, not a single person has a steel mill up. So steel isn't dropping anytime soon.
And Silver is the only one at HQ4 remaining, so he's the one who still needs that big steel purchase to get his remaining tiles. He's selling down or he's generating iron, because iron is also out of control. He has 2 high iron tiles. So it's a little bit weird what the iron and steel markets are doing.
I think the sub AI might have overcommitted into power, and no, it's finally started making steel. So there is some steel production now. Anyway, we can see that carbon prices exploded and Blues is going for slant drilling. I think the plan here is to convert his wind turbine here into a second quarry. It will give him really nice carbon income.
Especially if he hacks it. However, he is the target, so the black market is raining down on him.
Yep, definitely. And his base is kind of nice to EMP. He has no goons and the buildings are very clumped up. And currently, PB Head needs 800k, he has 200 of it. So it's still far away from a buy here.
But the one advantage he does have is if you look at the number of optimizations PB has, he has 13 to Blues' 3.
Yeah, that's very nice. I guess that's the opportunity cost of hacking. He missed the opportunity to optimize instead. And he's now choosing to surplus steel. He wants to change his buildings, but he can't afford to, so he's surplusing steel.
It's probably worth it because, or the hacks are probably worth it because the blackmagic sub is now generating nearly 1,600 per second for Blues. So, plus the stock price bump.
Blackmagic is in a lot of iron mines here. This is pretty funny to watch. Now, usually iron isn't a very profitable market, but I guess this game it somehow turned out to be. I'm not actually sure what happened. Oh, but
what is
silver
happening
isn't
is
selling.
AG is hacking up iron.
Oh, he's hacking it. Okay, that makes sense.
So, since he had 2 highs, he's taking advantage of that high iron price. Like, well, if I can't make steel easily, and iron's ridiculous, I might as well make it more ridiculous and make the money where I can. Yeah. Which is a very interesting but cute play here.
Now, the problem, of course, is the blackmagic is selling 5.6 iron a second and giving all the profits to Blues. And when Silver sees that this number keeps dropping like this, he should know that the time to sell out is now, or like a minute ago. He's losing value in his stockpile.
The other thing he could have done is attack the blackmagic sub. The subs don't defend themselves, and if they're wholly owned by someone else, it's a safe way to take out your opponent's profits with very little risk of your black market bouncing.
Yeah, it's an alternative, but I wouldn't do it with EMPs costing 50k. Blues has done a really good job increasing the price of this. Nobody really wants to hit anymore, which benefits the leader. Instead we see some cheaper black markets, magnetic storms on the carbon. And we can see the carbon core is making Blues really solid money. It's, well, almost as good as blackmagic I was going to say, but blackmagic has increased in value since this iron shenanigans started.
And the blackmagic sub's Pleasure Dome is uncontested and generating quite a bit of profit as well. So no one else has moved into that pleasure market. Even though 2 robots are in the game, you get some colony adjacency. That could be a decent tile, but it may be too late for that.
Yeah, Blues has the buy on PB, and 10 seconds later he'll have the buy on Silver. Because he gets all the stock and he can just sell it out, get a really nice quick income boost. And Blues takes it as a carbon power robot.
And he came down last, spotted the good markets. He went into power HQ1, food HQ2, and then just rode those profits and took out a struggling player, which turned out to be a really great sub. And
yeah,
that just won him the game.
Yeah, I think it was a really good decision to buy blackmagic. He's been an amazing sub. And I want to point out how well Blues invested his money. He didn't just keep his money, he kept it in stockpiles, in resources that nobody was producing, and even consuming. Like every HQ was consuming oxygen when he bought it up. Gave extra debt to everyone else and gave more money to him instead of just keeping the money. It's a very nice play. And Blues takes game 1 officially for the bull market belters.
Indeed. Congratulations to Blues. A very tight game, proving why he is a captain.
Yeah, indeed. This was very veteran play. I guess to summarize, I'm not actually sure how blackmagic got the depth so quickly. I think it was a shipping issue. Like he had to ship in a lot of silicon, he shipped in water, he paid a lot of power. Maybe ignoring power was the big mistake here.
Quite possibly with how power turned out.
You can check some graphs actually. So blackmagic purchased power for over 100,000. And remember that he got bought out pretty early, so this was during a short period of time. I think that was his main issue.
Yeah, it bought over 105k of power and 33k worth of fuel. And so, of course, Blues being a robot produced a lot of that and sold nearly 240k of power. So all that debt blackmagic was taking on was, in fact, going to Blues' profit.
Yeah. Yeah, Blues was very happy to have blackmagic here, I think. But alright, Blues takes it. Congratulations to Blues.